a lower custody rate predominantly affects men, sure, but he doesn't do that to himself. A family court decides it.
Hey, men don't have a lower custody rate because the family court is more likely to side with the mother. Men have a low custody rate because they're less likely to fight for custody of their children. In fact, most men who do fight for custody get it. They get custody. Eat my freaking shorts, dude.
After posting my video reacting to the claim that every issue that predominantly affects men is self-inflicted, the reaction was generally positive. But I did receive quite a bit of pushback, especially in the comments, and in this case as a stitch from this lovely lady, on one specific point: custody. I said, a father having a lower custody rate predominantly affects men, sure, but he doesn't do that to himself. A family court decides it. So even on her own list, the thing that affects men and the thing men supposedly inflicted on themselves are just not the same thing. And look, I keep saying this. I am a human being. I try to do my research, but sometimes I make mistakes and I get things wrong. So I decided, okay, let's check if the pushback has any credibility. Generally speaking, the pushback consists of 3 points. Point 1. Family courts do not make most custody decisions. Point 2, men have lower custody rates mostly because they do not fight for custody. And point 3, when men do fight for custody, they usually get it. So let's go through them. Point 1, family courts do not make most custody decisions. On this one, I was wrong. The cleanest recent data I found was from Canada. Now, is Canadian data perfectly generalizable to every country? Of course not, but it was the best data set I could find for this exact question because it separates consent orders, uncontested cases, and contested cases decided by judges. And the more limited data I found from the US and Germany seems to point in the same broad direction. So, according to the 2018-2019 survey of family courts of custody and access court orders, 66% were consent orders. That means the parents agreed and the court made it official. 30% were uncontested. That means one parent applied and the other parent did not oppose it in court. And only 4% were contested cases decided by judges. So yes, my original wording was wrong. If I made it sound like most custody outcomes are judges sitting there after a courtroom battle choosing mother over father, that is incorrect. I should have phrased it more carefully. Point 2. Men have lower custody rates mostly because they do not fight for custody. This seems to be wrong or at least not proven by this data. Because 30% uncontested does not mean 30% are fathers who didn't fight and mothers who got custody. It means one parent applied and the other parent did not oppose it in court. Maybe in many cases that is the father not opposing the mother, but the data doesn't tell us that. And 66% consent orders does not mean men didn't fight either. It means both parents agreed to the order. But agreeing to the final order doesn't mean there was no disagreement, no back and forth, no negotiation, and no compromise. It means the case did not end with the judge making the final decision after a contested fight. Point 3. When men fight for custody, they usually get it. This also seems to be wrong. In contested cases where a judge actually decided physical custody, the result was not most fathers got custody. Sole mother custody was 61%. Shared physical custody was 22%. Sole father custody was only 4%. Does 4% sound like fathers usually get it to you? So here's the conclusion. On point 1, I was wrong. Family courts do not directly decide most custody outcomes after a contested fight. But points 2 and 3 seem to be wrong too. It doesn't seem that men have lower custody rates mostly because they do not fight for custody. And it is definitely not the case that when men do fight for custody, they usually get it. And most importantly, this doesn't make lower custody rates self-inflicted. So even though my original wording was wrong on the family court part, the core point still stands. A problem predominantly affecting men does not automatically mean men inflicted it on themselves.